By morning, I am becoming new. Oh, and morning, by morning, by morning, I am finding my truth, and I stand as the day closes dark on my face. Oh, I stand and I wait here with you as I'm becoming new. And morning by morning, by morning, we are becoming new. Oh, and morning by morning, by morning, we are finding the truth, and we stand as the day closes dark on our face. Oh, we stand and we wait here with you as we're becoming new. Come and make us new. Come and make us new. Come and make us new as we're becoming. Sometimes I wish I was still 18 and all the boys would like me and wanna listen to me sing. Sometimes I wish I could just drive and drive out on my own till the sun comes up and my cell phone's dead and nobody's waiting at home for me. Then I'd be free, free from your hand reaching over to touch my face in the middle of the night. Because there's no more words, we used them all up in the fight. Free from the roots that come with 14 years of beautiful life, and free to be just me. Sometimes I wish I got paid by the hour to do this job, that I could leave at 5 o'clock and have martinis in my downtown loft. Sometimes I wish I could find a damn bathroom to myself, 10 minutes alone without somebody knocking on the door to need my help. then I'd be free. Free from a redhead jumping all over my bed on Saturday morning, demanding donuts and to turn the TV on. Free from a boy turning into a man before my eyes, and free from a breaking heart as I watch him try to figure out this life. Then I'd be free. Sometimes I wish I could just live my life without wishing for all the things that catch my eyes. My God, I wish I could just be content with what I've got, and remember the freedom I lack is what brings the deeper life I really want. It makes me free to tell stories with my guitar about the life we live. Free to remember I'm not the only one who has to give, and free to believe there's something greater at work inside of me, showing me how to be free. Oh, I wanna be free to live for more than just me. Thank God it's not just me, but sometimes I wish I was still 18.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirit into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims freedom still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice fueled by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lies all of the verities, all of the realities of your existence, the bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is already a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation of the dawn. Good morning, and welcome on this Sunday morning, or whenever you happen to be viewing a recording of our live stream this morning. My name is Jeff May, a member of the Worship Associates team at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Meriden, and along with our sister congregation, the Mattituck Unitarian Universalist Society, we are bringing these virtual worship services to you. Today we'll continue our exploration of the spiritual theme of becoming that we are delving into this month as we welcome our guest preacher this morning, the Reverend David Jarvis, to our pulpit. Dave is a retired UCC minister, a musician, and has been regularly attending our online virtual services for some time now. He's also a longtime and dear friend of mine. We will begin our service today, as is the tradition at Unitarian Universalist churches, with the lighting of our chalice, the symbol of our faith. These words this morning, which you will see on your screen, are adapted from Margaret Williams Braxton. Please feel free to read along. Once upon a time I was. Now I am. Someday I will become. Once there was and now there is, soon there will be. And someday there surely shall be. Once upon a time we were, now we are. And someday, hallelujah, we shall surely become. Amen.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks, for all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks, for all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise, for all that is our gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad.
Desmond the Mouse lived in the most beautiful meadow in all the land. Every morning, Desmond would rise with the sunrise and spend the whole day playing in that meadow, and every evening he would fall asleep under the beautiful starry sky. One night, however, Desmond woke when it was still dark out. He tried rolling over to get comfortable again, but something wasn't right. His tail was throbbing, and he seemed stuck where he was. He felt behind him, and it seemed that some sort of huge boulder had fallen in the meadow just on his tail. He tried pushing on the boulder and tugging on his tail, and pushing and tugging and tugging and pushing, but it was no use. He was stuck. Just when Desmond was out of breath and had about given up, he saw a giraffe wander through the grass. He called out, "Oh, Giraffe, it seems that a boulder has landed just on my tail in the middle of the meadow. If you could just nudge it a few inches in the other direction, I could get free." The giraffe laughed at Desmond the way giraffes do. "You silly mouse," it said. "That's no boulder that's landed in the middle of the meadow. That's an elephant that's fallen asleep on your tail." "Well, this is good news," thought Desmond. "If you could just wake up the elephant and ask it to move just a few inches in the other direction, I could go free." "I don't know about that," said the giraffe. "You know what they say about letting sleeping elephants lie. I find it's best not to get involved in other animals' business. I find it's best to remain neutral in times like these." "Well," Desmond replied quietly, "I do not appreciate your neutrality." The giraffe wandered off and away, and Desmond tried calling out to the elephant this time to wake it up in the hopes that it might roll over just a few inches in the other direction. But his little mouse voice was just too far away from those giant elephant ears at the end of that giant elephant body. Again, Desmond tried pushing on the elephant and tugging on his tail, and tugging and pushing, but it was no use. He was stuck. Just when he was out of breath and had about given up again, he saw a gazelle wander by. "Oh, gazelle," he called out, "it seems that this elephant has fallen asleep just on my tail in the middle of the meadow. If you could wake it up and ask it to roll over just a few inches in the other direction, I could go free." "I don't know about that," said the gazelle. "You know what they say about letting sleeping elephants lie. I find it's best to remain neutral in times like these." The gazelle wandered off, and Desmond said almost to himself this time, "I do not appreciate your neutrality." One final time, Desmond tried pushing on that giant elephant body and tugging on his little mouse tail, and pushing and tugging and tugging and pushing until he had just about given up for the last time. when he saw a mouse wander by through the grass. He called out, and the mouse ran over to introduce himself. "My name is Nelson. What seems to be the problem?" Desmond explained the situation, and right away Nelson ran over to the other end of that giant elephant body and called up to those giant elephant ears. "Excuse me, it seems you've fallen asleep just on my friend's tail in the middle of the meadow. If you could just roll over a few inches in the other direction, he could get free." But, well, that giant elephant body didn't budge, because those ears were just too far away from Nelson's little voice at the other end of that giant elephant head. Nelson ran back to Desmond and said, "I think I've got an idea. Stay right here." And he ran off, leaving Desmond alone. But eventually he came back, and he came back with a whole group of other mice. He had found 3 mouse friends, and each of them had found another 3 friends. And together the whole group of them ran all the way back to that giant elephant head. And one by one they crawled up the side, each on the shoulders of the other. By working together, they formed a whole mouse ladder up the back of that giant elephant head until eventually Nelson climbed all the way up upon the shoulders of his friends, and he called out right down into that giant elephant ear, "Excuse me! It seems you've fallen asleep on my friend's tail in the middle of the meadow. If you could just roll over a few inches in the other direction, he could go free." The elephant said, "Mm," and then rolled over just a few inches in the other direction. Nelson and his new friends climbed back down onto the ground, and they found Desmond, and the whole lot of them spent the rest of the day playing together in that beautiful meadow. Archbishop Desmond Tutu has said, "If you say you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have already taken sides with the powerful." He said if an elephant is standing on the tail of a mouse, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. As Unitarian Universalists, being a covenantal faith means we're in relationship together, that our relationships and being in community, creating beloved community, is our highest calling. And that means that we take sides. We take sides for justice. We take sides for equity and for compassion. And by doing that, we make the world a better place, by acting out our values and doing it by working together in community. May it be so, and may we make it so.
I'd like to share a reading this morning written by Sarah Morse Campbell. It's called "Give Us the Spirit of a Child." Give us the spirit of the child. Give us the child who lives within, the child who trusts, the child who imagines, the child who sings. The child who receives without reservation, the child who gives without judgment. Give us a child's eyes, that we may receive the beauty and the freshness of this day like a sunrise. Give us the child's ears, that we may hear the music of mythical times. Give us the child's heart, that we may be filled with wonder and delight. Give us a child's faith, that we may be cured of our cynicism. Give us the spirit of the child, who is not afraid to need, who is not afraid to love.
One
Hi everyone. I was delighted to be asked to bring you a message this morning. My name is Dave Jarvis and I've been coming to your wonderful parish for quite a few months now. And so I'm offering you a message which is called What's Going to Set You Free, in our theme of becoming for the month of April. So what's going to set you free? Several years ago, when I was driving down to New London, I noticed some writing underneath a bridge. How young people got up there to paint this little sign, I have no idea. But there was no way you could miss underneath the bridge the words that were written in bold white paint. What's gonna set you free? Now there's a question. There's a question. What is gonna set me free? What's keeping me from being the person I want to be? What's keeping me from being the person I want to become? There's our word, our theme, become. A great action verb. A great action verb if I ever heard one. To become. I become. You become. He, she, it becomes. We become. You all become. They become. What keeps me from becoming? Pure and simple, what hinders my personal growth and my development as a person is fear. More than anything, it's fear. There may be others, but for me, just plain old everyday anxiety is enough to stunt my development from being a whole person. Always has, always will. The irony about this is that no matter what spiritual master I may study, what religious leader I may follow, whatever system I may read, whatever organization I may belong to, pretty much they all say, love your fellow humans, or the golden rule, and don't be afraid. Fear not. You're going to be okay. Without fail, they all say the same thing. There's nothing that happens that can't be handled. Sadly, however, regardless, I believe I'm a slave to my fears. And it keeps me from becoming. Over 40 years ago, when I was a young pastor, I had faith, but was also plagued by many fears. How long before people would find out that I was a phony? I was far from resembling any kind of holy man, which they may have expected. What would happen if my congregation, this is going back about 45 years ago, what would happen if my congregation found out I was gay? You must remember back in the late 70s and early 80s, homosexuality was considered by most, not by many back then, by most, that homosexual behavior was a pathology. That was one fear. How would I do in a crisis situation when people were depending on me to be their pastor? I exhausted myself with worry. The spiritual understanding that I was going to be okay somehow evaded me. I did a pretty good job at loving my neighbor and the golden rule and stuff like that, but owning that I had nothing to fear, well, not so much. Holding on to my fears kept this young minister from becoming. Then it happened. I had a pastoral emergency. a 2-year-old boy accidentally pulled a pot of scalding hot water off of the top of a wood stove and got very badly burned where the water had splashed on part of his face and chest. These were the days of the energy crisis in the 70s when many families augmented their oil burners with wood stoves, especially in the northwest corner of Connecticut where I was serving a church where there was abundance of wood. Imagine the mother, what would I say to her? Her back was turned only for a second, yet I'm sure she's still feeling negligent. The boy who did not understand the gravity of what happened, let alone the pain. The boy and his mother were flown by helicopter from Canaan to the Shriners Burn Center in Boston. I hopped in my car, armed with goodies provided by the church ladies. Hey, they knew how hungry I could get on a 3-hour drive. And I made my way to the Massachusetts Turnpike. All the while I was overcome with inadequacy. I was not worthy to minister to these people. I was a phony. Maybe I'd say something inappropriate and stupid. Some clergy are real jerks, you know. You know it, and I know it. And I didn't want to be a jerk. I didn't want to be one of those jerk kind of preachers. I wanted to be humble. I wanted to comfort. I wanted to let them know they were going to be okay, but I remember praying with my eyes open on the road. As a pastor, it was time for me to fish or cut bait. I remember parking in the parking area reserved for clergy. I entered the hospital and took the elevator to the 6th floor where Tommy and his mom would be. And as the elevator door opened, I immediately saw a young woman kneeling on the floor with her arms extended. About 10 feet away with a small child who was completely bandaged from head to foot with little slits open for the eyes and a little slit for the nose and a slit for the mouth. And she was covered from head to toe, and the woman was saying, "You can do it, Sarah. Come to me, Sarah. You can walk to me, Sarah." And there was a nurse by her side. And I saw that little girl walk very slowly. She must have been in the hospital for a long time. And that mother kept on saying, "I love you, Sarah. Well, come to me, Sarah." And that little girl walked. And I was a witness to it. She walked slowly and purposefully with a nurse by her side to her mother whose hands were outstretched. This little girl whose burns must have been much worse than the little boy I was about to see. She walked. But what really got me was not that she walked, but the smile I saw through the slit in the bandages where her mouth was. The smile that said, "I'm going to be okay, I can do this." The action I described couldn't have lasted more than a minute, but that image, that smile, has played a significant role for me as a person of faith, as a pastor, and as a man who understands and accepts the fact that he's in the final quarter of his life. And I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Just like that little girl. The sad part about being a slave to fear is that it keeps one from becoming. It stunts one's growth, so to speak. What's going to set me free? The ability to walk away from my fears with a smile on my face, accept any consequences with the knowledge that I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be okay. The message of every spiritual leader I have ever read or heard can be broken down to this common denominator, the golden rule, and you're going to be okay. Well, one might say that may work for some people, this okay stuff. But what if you're totally incapacitated? What if you're sick? Maybe you've got cancer. What does being okay say to those people? Maybe you're dying. Maybe you're close to someone who's dying. I can't imagine anything worse than a parent losing a child, though sadly I'm sure there are such things. Living in a concentration camp, trying to survive on the streets of Calcutta if you're poor. We could have a field day calling up the misery of this world. But remarkably, the answer doesn't change. You're going to be okay. That's part of becoming, is owning you're going to be okay. Because being okay does not mean the absence of struggle. Being okay does not mean the absence of suffering. For me, being okay contains the eternal nature of divine love. And of course, cognitively knowing and owning that are two different things. Knowing that God's love surrounds you. Fear is a great manipulator. Scare people to death with lies. Scare people to death with exaggerations. And then present yourself as a savior. We just lived through 4 years of that, didn't we? But I'm not going to go there. You know what I'm talking about. You know, when gay men gather, I don't know if it's the same for other folks in the LGBTQ community, but I can personally attest to the fact that when gay men gather, it does not take long before they discuss, how was it for you? Meaning coming out. How was it? How was it for you? For some, it's so traumatic. I believe one of the largest causes for teen suicide is sexual identity. If not number one, I'm sure it's way up there. Talk about fear of becoming. And we all have our narrative. I remember the early days of gay pride. You had to specifically state you did not want to be photographed on TV. And it wasn't that long ago, folks. Not really. Not that long ago. Think of our two Unitarian Universalist churches and our collective coming out process. Oh yeah, the churches came out. Imagine 50 years ago, 1971, the year I decided to go to seminary. Do you think I would have gotten a ton of support from our two churches back then? Oh, maybe a few would, but just 3 short years after Stonewall. Again, homosexuality was considered a pathology back then. I grew up in that. I came out in that. And so did all of you. Going open and affirming, accepting and loving, being a reconciling congregation. All of those other nifty catchphrases which really mean we're okay with LGBTQ folk. And we survived very well. We became, didn't we? With that understanding of inclusion and acceptance, we became congregation and pastors as we mutually came out of our closets. We became, and the exciting thing is we're still becoming, aren't we? The minute we put the fear away, we become. I went on retreat several weeks ago to Easton Mountain, and I met this wonderful guy by the name of Pleasant Despain, who's a storyteller, and he wrote this book, Vagabond Tales. And I haven't read a book like that I've enjoyed so much. In it, and it's a spiritual journey, and he writes these words. The renowned author and mythology professor Joseph Campbell said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And then Pleasant continues, the treasure you seek is freedom from past action. Freedom means forgiveness. The source of forgiveness is yourself. Wow. To free ourselves from all that we fear, to own that we're going to be okay, is, I believe, one great big giant step toward becoming. Remember Dr. King's last speech? Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got difficult days ahead. But it doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop and I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go to the mountain, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. For me, the essence of becoming is owning that you're going to be okay. You have been set free from the chains of fear, and you are now free to love, free to become. God bless you all.
My blood doth rise in the roots of yon oak, her sap doth run in my veins. Boundless my soul, like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars, where the stars, where the stars forever have lain. My hands hold the weavings of time without end, my sight as deep as the sea. Beating my heart tells the measures of all that of love's eternity. that of love, that of love, that of love's eternity. I feel the tides as they answer the moon, rushing on a far distant sand. Winging my song is the wind of my breast, and my love flows over the land. And my love, and my love, and my love flows over the land. My foot carries days of the old into new. Our dreaming shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green, rising green to bring a new day.
Let us open ourselves here, now, to the process of becoming more whole, of giving more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, of understanding more completely the meaning of our lives here on this earth. We take this moment to light candles here in our sanctuary, at home where you are, candles that are aflame in reality, the candles that we light in our heart. We light candles this morning for all those whose lives who have been lost or altered due to COVID-19. Those living on the autism spectrum and those who are in need of learning more about autism. We light candles for our transgender friends and family living bold, brave, authentic lives. We light candles for those suffering from disease and illness, both visible and invisible. We light candles for those whose lives have been lost due to the evils of white supremacy and patriarchy. We light a candle this morning for you, whomever and wherever you are, who are celebrating a joy, who are mourning a loss, who are living in fear and uncertainty, who are searching for a way of restoring hope. Breathing in, I am aware of my pain. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my pain. Breathing in, I'm aware of my past. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my past. Breathing in, I am aware of my anger. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my anger. Breathing in, I am aware of my despair. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my despair. Breathing in, I am aware of peace. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of peace. Breathing in, I am aware of love. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of love. Breathing in, I am aware of joy. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of joy. Breathing in, I am aware of hope. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of hope. Breathing in, I am aware.
Hey everybody, it's Reverend Tony. Shortly, everyone in both the UU Church in Meriden and the Mattatuck UU Society will be receiving materials about the annual stewardship and pledge drive. So I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about that for a minute. I'm hoping everyone will be generous. I'd love to see us reach a level where we could have 100% participation, that everyone who is able to do so pledges something. Even $5 a month is a $60 a year pledge. And if you can do more than that, please do, and we're very grateful for that. But if everybody could consider at least a $5 a month pledge for a $60 a year pledge, we'd love to have 100% participation. Now, to go along with this, I want to remind you of the congregation's commitment to you. COVID has affected a lot of us financially, including the congregations. If you are someone who's been really affected by COVID financially, or was even struggling financially before the pandemic, I want you to know that the congregation, either in Meriden or at Mattatuck, we want to be able to help you if you're struggling. If even that $5 a month is a lot for you to promise, please be in touch with me or someone else you know or trust on our boards and let us know, because we have a commitment to be helping you. And instead of you helping the congregation, now's the time for us to also find out what we can do to make your situation better if we can. So when you get those materials, please think about them. You know, the days of a congregation being able to sustain itself completely on annual pledge donations from its members are probably over unless you have a really large and or really wealthy congregation. But that doesn't mean your pledge is less important. It means your commitment is even more important, because the amount we need to make up from pledges to cover our budget, you know, is going to be less the more people can donate. And if we can get to a situation where the fundraising does not just cover our budget, it means we have a chance to use that money to grow in creative ways and try some new things. So as you get that stewardship material this spring, please be as generous as you can. And if a $5 a month commitment is even too much, please be in touch with me because we want to know how we can help you out too. Thanks a lot. We'll see you soon.
Low below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in a beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
As our service draws to a close today, remember that we will join online afterwards for our virtual coffee hour on Zoom. The address is easy, and you are welcome, whether you're a member of either of our two congregations or not, a visitor for the first time, or someone who's been coming along and joining us. Please join us together for coffee. The address is on your screen. It's pretty simple. go.uucentralct.org/coffee. That's go.uucentralct.org/coffee. Pour a cup of your favorite beverage and zoom on over. We'll see you there right after the service. We extinguish our chalice, marking the end of our time together this morning in this moment, but the flame of our becoming continues to illuminate our path forward in the next moment, and the next moment, and the next moment, and the next, and the next, until we are together once again here in this space, virtually, and hopefully before too long, in person with one another again. Go in peace, grow in love, live and blessing. Amen.
Thank you.